There is a memory you would swear to in court, a birthday, an argument, the moment you found out something that changed everything. You can see the room, you know who was standing where, you know what was said. There is a good chance parts of it never happened. Not because you are lying, because of how the machine works. You have been told your whole life that memory is storage, that your brain is a warehouse and remembering is walking to the right shelf and pulling down the box. Under that model, forgetting is a lost box. Remembering is retrieval. That model is wrong in a way that costs you. It makes you study the wrong way, trust the wrong feelings, and defend memories you should hold loosely. So let me give you the model that matches the machine. 5 things about how your memory actually works. The first 3 explain why you lose things. The last 2 are what to do instead. Start with the one that unsettles people. You do not have a recording, you have a sketch. A few strong lines, a couple of colors, the shape of the room. When you remember something, your brain does not press play. It takes those few lines and paints the rest of the picture right there in the moment. And here is the part that matters. When you finish, it does not put the original sketch back, it puts the new painting back. Every time you recall a memory, you overwrite it with the version you just built. Recall it 100 times and you are on the 100th copy of a copy. The details drift. A blue coat becomes a gray one. 2 conversations merge into one. Something a person told you afterward gets painted into the scene as though you saw it yourself. This is why the memories you revisit the most are the least trustworthy. The story you have told at dinner 20 times has been repainted 20 times. Each retelling smooths a rough edge, sharpens a punchline, tightens the timeline. The story gets better. The memory gets worse. And the version you land on feels more solid every year because confidence comes from how easily a memory arrives, not from whether it is true. You can watch this happen in a courtroom. A witness is asked a question with one loaded word in it, not shown new evidence, just asked. Weeks later, that word has moved into the memory and set up residence. The witness now sees it. They are not lying. Someone handed them a brushstroke and their brain painted it in. The same thing happens with the memories that feel the most permanent. Ask people where they were when they heard some enormous piece of news, and they will describe the scene with total confidence down to the weather and what they were wearing. Ask those same people the same question a few years later and a striking number of them give a different answer in the same confident voice with no sense that anything has changed. The certainty is real. The scene has been quietly repainted in between. Confidence and accuracy are 2 separate dials, and nothing in your head connects them. So the practical piece. Hold your vivid memories a little more loosely, especially the ones you have told most often, and when something matters, write it down close to when it happened. Paper does not repaint itself. The second thing is a different problem, and it is the bigger one. Picture the front door of the place you live. You have opened it thousands of times. Now describe the handle, not the door, the handle. Which way does it turn? Is it warm or cold in your palm? Is there a scratch on it? Which side is worn? Most people cannot answer, and they conclude they forgot. You did not forget, you never recorded it. Your hand has touched that handle 10,000 times and your attention has never once been on it. Your attention was on your keys, your phone, whatever you were walking into or out of. No attention, no recording. There is nothing on the shelf because nothing was ever put there. Try the same test with a coin you have handled your whole life. Which way does the face point? What words are around the edge? You have seen it constantly and you cannot draw it because seeing is not recording. This is most of what you call forgetting. It is not loss. It is a gap where nothing was written. The name you missed at the party. You were not distracted afterward. You were distracted during. You were thinking about what to say next, and the 2 seconds where their name was available came and went with the recorder off. You cannot retrieve it later because there is no later version of it. It was never there. Same with the page you read 3 times without absorbing. Same with where you put your keys. Your keys did not vanish from your memory. Your hands put them down while your mind was somewhere else. It happens in conversation constantly. Someone spends 2 minutes explaining a problem to you and you spend those same 2 minutes assembling your reply. When they finish, you can produce the shape of what they said and none of the substance because your attention was pointed at your own next sentence the whole time. The recorder was running on the wrong channel. You will experience that later as having forgotten the details. You never had them. This reframes the fix. If most forgetting is a recording failure, then trying harder to remember is the wrong lever. The lever is at the moment of encoding. 2 seconds of real attention beats 20 minutes of straining later. Say the name out loud. Look at where you set the keys and name the spot to yourself. Not because repetition is magic, but because for 1 second the recorder was on. Now the third one, and this is the trap that catches careful people. Open a textbook covered in yellow highlighter. Read the page, everything looks familiar. Every line lands as something you already know. You close the book feeling ready. Then the test asks a question and nothing comes. What happened is that you confused two different things. Recognizing something and being able to produce it are separate abilities, and they feel identical from the inside. When you reread, you are testing recognition. The words are on the page. Your brain gets them handed over and reports back a warm signal. Yes, known, familiar, we are fine here. That signal is not measuring your memory. It is measuring how smoothly the material is going down. And rereading makes anything go down smoothly. The fourth pass through a chapter is effortless whether or not you could reproduce a word of it. It is the same feeling as the face you recognize on the street and cannot place. Total certainty that you know this person, zero access to who they are, recognition is intact, production is missing. So the more you reread, the more confident you get, and the confidence has almost nothing to do with what you can do without the page in front of you. This is why highlighting feels productive and does so little. The yellow marks the lines that felt important while you were reading them. Then it guarantees that every future pass over those lines is even smoother and even less informative about what you actually hold. There is a quick way to catch yourself doing this. Take something you believe you know well, put every source out of reach, and explain it out loud to an empty room as if the person in front of you knows nothing about it, not the summary. The whole thing in order, including the parts that connect to each other. Most people stall inside of a minute, and the place where they stall is almost never the place they expected. That stall is the honest measurement. The comfortable feeling you had 30 seconds earlier was measuring the page. The signal you want is the opposite of comfort. If it feels smooth, you are measuring the page. If it feels like work, you are measuring yourself. Which brings us to what does work. Walk across a lawn once and nothing happens. Walk the same line every day for a month and a path appears in the grass. The path is not made by knowing where it goes. It is made by walking it. Your memory works the same way. The act of pulling something out of your head is what makes it easier to pull out next time, not putting it in again, pulling it out. Every retrieval is a footstep on the path. Rereading is standing at the edge of the lawn looking at a map of the path. You can look at that map for an hour. No grass gets flattened. So close the book, then ask yourself the question and make yourself answer from nothing. That struggle, the 10 uncomfortable seconds where you are reaching and it is not there yet, is the part that does the work. It feels like failing. It is the opposite. Smooth is the sensation of learning nothing, and difficulty is the sensation of a path being cut. This changes what studying looks like. Instead of reading a chapter 4 times, read it once and then shut it and write down everything you can. You will get maybe 40%. That feels bad. Then open the book and see what you missed, and now those gaps are marked in a way that no highlighter can match because you found them by falling into them. Instead of reviewing your notes before a meeting, look away and say the 3 points out loud. Instead of watching the tutorial again, close it and build the thing badly from memory. Every time you check your answer before trying to produce it, you are stepping around the only part of the process that builds anything. The check is not the work, the reach is the work. Take something concrete, like learning your way around a new city. You could study the map every night for a week and still stand at an intersection with no idea which way to turn. Or you could walk it, get lost, and stop at each corner to force a guess about which street goes home before you allow yourself to check. The second version is slower and more uncomfortable on any given day, and after a week the city is in your head instead of in your pocket. Nothing about that is specific to cities. It is what happens whenever you make yourself produce something before you are allowed to look. The last piece is about when, and it is the difference between a path and a rut. Water a plant with a full bucket at once and most of it runs straight out of the pot. The soil cannot take it. Come back with a glass every few days and the plant lives. Your memory absorbs the same way. Cramming is the bucket. 6 hours the night before pours everything in at once, and it holds long enough for the exam and drains out within days. Not because you did not work, because you poured it into soil that was already soaked. Forgetting is not a bug in the system. It is the schedule. Every memory starts fading from the moment you make it, and the fade is steepest at the beginning. Left alone, most of what you learned today is gone within a week. Here is what turns that into a tool. If you retrieve something right when it is starting to slip, the fade slows down. The path gets deeper and it stays visible longer. Do it again at the new edge and it slows again. Each time you catch it just before it disappears, you buy yourself more time before the next one. Which means the best moment to practice is not when you know it well. It is when you almost do not. Reviewing something you just learned an hour ago is watering wet soil. It is easy, it feels productive, and the plant gains nothing. Reviewing it when you can barely dig it up is where the work happens. In practice, this is simple. See it today, again tomorrow, again in 3 days, again in a week, then 2, then a month. The gaps grow because the fade slows, and each session can be short because you are not pouring in a bucket. You are bringing a glass at the moment the soil is dry. 5 sessions of 10 minutes spread across a month will beat one session of 5 hours every time on the same material. Same total effort in the second case, sometimes less, and what you keep is not comparable. Run the arithmetic on that because it is the part people skip past. 5 sessions of 10 minutes is under an hour of work spread across a month. One night of cramming is 5 or 6 hours in a single sitting. The spaced version costs a fraction of the time, and what it leaves behind is still there a year later. The reason almost nobody does it is not that the schedule is complicated. It is that each individual session feels unproductive, because you spend it struggling with material you supposedly already learned, and struggle reads as failure. So put the whole thing together. Your memory is not a warehouse with shelves. It is a landscape with paths worn across it. Nothing gets stored by being looked at, only by being crossed. The paths fade on their own, and the fading is what makes crossing them useful. That means most of what you call a bad memory is not a defect in the hardware. It is a gap where you never pointed your attention. It is a feeling of familiarity you mistook for knowing. It is hours spent looking at the map instead of walking the ground. The fixes are small and they are boring. 2 seconds of attention when it matters. Close the book before you check. Come back when you have almost lost it. Notice what those 3 have in common. None of them asks you for more hours. The attention fix costs 2 seconds. Closing the book costs nothing at all, it just moves the same reading time into a different shape. Spacing spends less total time than cramming does, not more. What every one of them costs is comfort. You trade the pleasant feeling of material sliding past you for the unpleasant feeling of reaching into your head and coming up empty. That is the whole price. It is also why most people keep the highlighter. None of that will feel as good as rereading a chapter you already understand. That is exactly how you know it is working. Now go look at your front door. Actually look at it. In 10 years, that handle will be the one thing in this video you can still describe.